Can you anticipate what questions you're gonna be asked in IELTS speaking? Yes, to some degree. What I'm talking about is neither magic nor cheating. Rather, it's an understanding of how this exam works and what questions are used where. We'll also have a look at the topics used in real exams recently. This should give you a good picture of what to expect. It's Asia. Let's get started! Once you enter the room and sit down, you're here. I'm going to record this exam for marking purposes. Is it okay? This is the official beginning of your test. Once I had an examiner who had a little chat with me before that, but others got straight to the point. In any case, everything that is recorded is assessed. First of all, your examiner needs to check your identity. It takes about 30 seconds. Give short, concise answers. What is your name? Asia Miat. It's Asia Miat, or my name is... What should I call you? You can just repeat your first name. You can call me Asia. Or give your nickname, or another name if, for example, you prefer to use your middle name. Just call me Liz. Can I see your passport, please? Sure, here it is. Where are you from? This is not the place to describe your town. This is your identity verification. Give a short answer. I'm from Delhi. That's enough. Everyone knows where this is. Or, I'm from Almaty, the former capital of Kazakhstan. Next, you're here. Now, in this first part, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. So this is the first part. And there are just 4 topics examiners use to begin this exam. Family. The first question will be, do you have a large or small family? Home. Where do you live? In a house or flat? Hometown. What is your hometown? And your hometown is where you were born or lived as a child. For example, I've been in London for over 10 years, but my hometown is Almaty. And finally, work and studies. Do you work or study? After that, you get a couple of deeper questions on the same topic. And you can download these questions and sample answers in the PDF guide linked below. Next, the examiner will ask you questions on 2 more topics from the list, up to 4 questions per topic. For each of them, they may ask you why or why not to make you expand your answer. Generally, all the topics are about you, your experiences and opinions. However, some of the topics are a bit easier to answer than others. I asked our Telegram group about questions they were asked recently, so here are the topics that were mentioned. Weekends, social media, sports, singing, languages, fitness and exercise, writing and typing, snacks, parks, weather, neighbors, tidiness, maps, names, puzzles. I guess you won't have problems talking about your weekends or social media. Questions about puzzles, however, are more unusual. Here are some of them. Did you do puzzles as a child? What kind of puzzles do you like solving now? Are puzzles good for elderly people? When you are preparing for your exam, practice answering these questions at home, paying particular attention to the topics you find more difficult. I try to monitor IELTS topics and make videos about the most challenging of them that may require some specific vocabulary. So here are the challenging topics we've covered so far. Not all of them are used right now, but IELTS topics tend to be reused. For example, I talked about farming last year, and this week there were questions about farming in part 3. By the way, you can download all these questions for the topics with links to videos with sample answers and vocabulary on our Telegram channel, linked below. Remember that for each question, you on average have 20-25 seconds. For some, you can give shorter answers, while for others, longer. Generally, try to give an open answer to each question. Your answers don't have to be smart, just be talkative and say whatever comes to your mind. Part 2 is where you'll be given a cue card with a topic and several bullet points. 1 minute to prepare and 2 minutes to talk. Although the instructions read talk between 1 and 2 minutes, 1 minute doesn't really give you much time to show that you can speak at length or demonstrate your vocabulary and grammar. Try to talk for 2 minutes until your time is up and the examiner stops you. If you don't finish the talk by then, that's fine. We can split all Part 2 topics into 4 groups. The first is where you are required to describe a person. So here are some of the topics used recently. The wording is not exact. Describe a friend you went to school with. A family member you would like to work with. A person who became famous on social media. There are a lot of questions about celebrities or famous people or people you admire, so it's definitely worth having someone in mind you could talk about. Describe a person who enjoys growing plants. That's a tough one. A sample answer is coming soon. You may be asked about objects. Describe a story you have read recently that made you think a lot. A photograph you're proud of. An unusual house someone you know lives in. A new law or regulation that was introduced in your country. You may be asked about occasions. Describe an occasion when you went shopping and faced a problem. When you had to share something. When you had to wait for a long time. Describe a time you missed an appointment. There are also questions about experiences. Describe an English lesson you enjoyed. An activity you do regularly to keep healthy and fit. A day out that didn't cost you much. What you should really know before your exam is that you don't have to follow the bullet points on the cue card. Those points are there to give you ideas and help you talk for longer. Your goal is to talk about the main question and tell a story. When you're telling a story, it's much easier to talk at length. And definitely practice at home with the timer. Set it to 2 minutes and talk until your time is up. At the end of Part 2, your examiner will ask you some follow-up questions. If you talked for 2 minutes and were stopped, you'll get one question and can just give a short answer. But if you struggle to speak at length and finished quite early, your examiner may ask you several questions. In this case, try to give longer answers. Then you'll hear, in Part 2, you've been talking about and now I'd like to ask you some questions about. This means you've made it to Part 3. Part 3 lasts between 4 and 5 minutes, just like Part 1, but there are big differences. First of all, Part 1 is about your life and your experiences. Part 3 is about other people and more abstract concepts. Examiners get topics and sets of example questions, but they can change questions to facilitate a more natural discussion and ask you follow-up questions. Generally, you'll get up to 6 main questions in 5 minutes, so try to give an extended answer to each question. Part 3 is related to Part 2. Here's how it works. Let's assume your Part 2 topic is describe an occasion when you went shopping and faced a problem. Then in Part 3, you may be asked questions about refunds and customer service. And there is one interesting thing you should know about. Let's have a look at the questions. The first topic is offering a refund. Example questions. Why do people sometimes return products they have bought? Are there things that people cannot return once they bought them? Both these questions are factual. They just ask you to give some information about returns and refunds. But the next one is different. Do you think that returns are good for both shoppers and companies? This question asks for your opinion. And it's usually easier to just agree, but surely returns are bad for companies, so you can't just agree. You probably partly agree and partly disagree, and the examiner would like to see how you can do that. Then you get the second subset of questions about customer service. What do you think it might be like to work in a customer service job? The chances you haven't worked in customer service. The question asks you to hypothesize, to imagine something you haven't experienced yourself. And that's another language skill. Do you agree that customers are more likely to complain nowadays? Here, you're required to compare the past and present. How important is it for companies to take all customer complaints seriously? This question takes us even further from your experience of being a customer and asks about companies and how they do business. Answering this question requires more abstract vocabulary than talking about your own experience of going shopping. I've just shown you two sets of questions. Actually, Part 3 questions are divided into 3 sets, and the examiner will choose 2 of them depending on how you performed so far. Basically, the more advanced you are, the harder the questions are. And if you hear something really tough, this is a good sign. Here are some of the topics reported in recent exams. They all come in pairs as each student got 2 sets of questions. There were the third sets, but we don't know them. Supermarkets and advertisement, online reviews and why people buy certain products, books made into movies and TV industry, how children should be encouraged to stay fit, and the roles of government and individuals, helping friends and relatives or countries helping countries, farming methods and the growing population and food security, pros and cons of learning foreign languages and artificial intelligence in language learning, social media and our dependence on smartphones, teaching children how to share and sharing information on the internet. You should definitely practice answering Part 3 questions at home. Again, use a timer and aim for about 45 seconds per question, or over 5 minutes for 6 questions. And now I'd like to return to one point I mentioned earlier. This is whether you're required to follow the bullet points in Part 2. I think that doing so might actually reduce your score. And I've explained why and gave a demonstration in this video. Check it out. And don't forget to download the sample answers to the topics used at the beginning of your exam right now. Thank you so much for watching me today. Good luck with your preparation and your exam.